I know it's here somewhere. Finally. Oh, it's time for the doctor. You're listening to Dr. Bill, the computer curmudgeon. Take it away, Doctor.
Well, it's that time again, and the doctor is in. It's time once again for Dr. Bill, the computer curmudgeon. And on the show today, we have so much good stuff. I mean, really, really good stuff for you this time. So be sure to tune in. And I want you to remember to subscribe. Okay? Subscribe to this YouTube channel. I need you to. I need you to. Is that hammy enough for you? We are proud members of the Tech Podcast Network. TechPodcast.com. If it's tech, it's right here on Dr. Bill, the computer curmudgeon. We're also proud members of the International Association of Internet Broadcasters. I really like doing that. I don't know why. I always have, but it's fun. Anyway, earlier this week, we had a big announcement from Elgato. Elgato, I don't know if you're aware, but Elgato makes all kinds of streaming tech. Okay? The Stream Deck, which I have here in front of me. The, actually, do I have it? Oh, yes, the, Camlink 4K that I'm using to actually get this show out to the internet. There's that. Anyway, lots of Elgato gear. But they announced new gear on July 15th, which is just this week. And it was a big event. They announced 9 different products. Now, some of them are, to me, okay? I'm talking strictly from my perspective. Now, here's the thing about this particular netcast. I call it a netcast. I know a lot of people call them podcasts, but long ago I got used to calling them netcasts because Leo Laporte coined the term netcast, and I still use it. He doesn't use it anymore. He gave up and just said, okay, it's a podcast. But I'm sticking with it because I'm just a curmudgeon. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, where was I headed with all that? Oh, yeah. Thought you were going to distract me. Squirrel! You know what I'm saying? Anyway. Here's the thing. Elgato announced all these products, and I am only interested in a few of them, and this show is about things I'm interested in. That's what I was trying to say before the squirrel distracted me. Anyway. You know, a lot of people listen to this particular netcast via the audio, and you don't get to see all the craziness that goes on. So watch it on YouTube, the old YouTube. Okay? Anyway, that goes back a long ways. I've been doing this show for pert nigh on to 15 years. Yes, back in the day, I used to do the show strictly audio, but now it's video as well. You know, we gotta catch up with all the youngins out there. Anyway, I know my buddy, the other computer curmudgeon, is going, what are you doing? You were supposed to cut down on the silliness. I can't help it. I'm just silly. The Elgato event was awesome. I've got a video on the blog. The blog, of course, being drbill.tv, drbill.tv, as it says there on the screen. Okay? Go to that blog. I left it up on the show, the entire show last time. The thing about where the blog is. So this time I remembered to take it down. I've got his bruise on my arm, and it shows up, and it distracted me. Anyway, squirrel. So here's the thing about Elgato. I still haven't got to the point. I'm getting there. They announced a new face cam, the Elgato face cam. And I am pretty excited about that. It really, really looks good. Check out the video of the Elgato event to see video taken with this webcam. It's more than a webcam because it uses a Sony sensor. And the software that comes with it is unbelievable what it can do. And it can even save all the settings. It's like the webcam to end all webcams. And had I not invested in this Sony A6400 $1,000 camera, I know, more money than sense, okay? Anyway, I would probably be buying one, but no, I like my Sony A6400, so I'm keeping it. At any rate, that's cool. Then there's also the Elgato Wave audio interface. Okay? That looks really cool. I'm so very tempted to get that, but I have a Scarlett Solo that works very well, as you can hear right now. So, it's hard. You know, if Elgato would just send me all the free tech like they do Epos Fox and Harris Heller and these other guys, I would be so happy. But they don't. They leave me out in the cold. Thanks, guys. Anyway, that event, you got to go watch that video. Really, I'm serious. Go to the blog, watch the video. Amazing stuff. Anyway, the Amazon Fire TV interface is getting an update. Whoopee! I quit using the Fire TV, so I don't care that much. But I'm reporting on things code cutters are interested in. And for that reason, I report it. So I'm done reporting it. I'm going to skip the Pi-hole info for just a moment and go directly to Microsoft Windows 365. This is the other thing that is just a kind of a piece of information I don't want to get out there. Okay, sorry. I'm not enthusiastic about it, and there's a reason. Here's the reason, other than Microsoft is evil. Of course, that's always the case. All right, but still, Windows 365 is a renaming of their existing product called Cloud PC, which is basically a virtual, a VDI desktop, virtual desktop in the cloud, kind of like we used to use where I used to work when I was working a secular job before I retired at the hospital. And there we implemented VMware View. And since we had the VertZ Netcast back in the day, I said I was going to mention events and things that came up in the virtual and cloud computing worlds, and this is it for this week. Windows 365, a cloud PC for business. Now, this is why I'm not terribly enthusiastic about it, okay? It's for business only. Regular old Joe, you and me, can't access it. Now, they may change their minds. But you remember last week I said that Microsoft doesn't necessarily hate us, they just don't respect us? Well, this is another case of that. They're not making the Windows 365 Cloud PC available for just regular users. Like we'd never use a PC in the cloud? Anyway, there's that. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is the Pi-hole information that I found. Now, there's a great video here on the blog. Let me put the blog back up there again. Here's the blog. Go to drbill.tv, and you will find that there is a video there on installing Pi-hole. Now, Pi-hole, what it does, in a nutshell, is every time you go to the internet, you go to a website, your network has to go out and talk to a DNS server. And to simplify this as much as possible, a DNS server is kind of like what we used to use called a phone book. Okay? We used to have to look up numbers in the phone book and call people based on that phone book. I know that's crazy. People go, what is that? Oh, you young folk. Anyway, so the DNS is like that phone book where you look up the actual address. Okay? So if you go to drbillbailey.net, for instance, which is my main core website for all of my various web shenanigans, then you would find that it would go out to a DNS server, find the actual address, and report back and connect you to it. What Pi-hole does is provide, you can install it on a Raspberry Pi, which is where it gets the term Pi part, but it doesn't take up much resource. I have it on a NUC, an Intel NUC that I just happen to have, and so I installed it there, and then I made that the local DNS server for all the machines on our LAN here at the condo. And so when there is a DNS request, it goes out and Pi-hole will block. This is where the hole comes in. It will block things that I don't want my network to access, and that I don't want outside people accessing through our network. Both ways, you see. Okay, so I've got a video here. It's a little bit long, so bear with me and watch it closely, and I'll show you what I found when I implemented Pi-hole. All right, we're going to take a look at Pi-hole. This is the Pi-hole Administrator Dashboard, and that is a mouthful, but basically what we're looking at here is, since this has been installed, which is basically a week at this point, roughly, then this is what has basically been recorded on our local area network. Now, as you can see, we have 24 clients on our network, and I know that just my wife and I live here, but, you know, I've got a lot of clients because I have a lot of servers, and I have very specialized machines. I also have my desktop, my wife's desktop, my laptop, her Chromebook, my Chromebook, both of our phones. Anything and everything that's on the local area network becomes a client, as does, for instance, the Roku box, which is interesting in and of itself. We'll get to that in just a minute. But you can see that in a little bit less than a week's time, we have it set up for 81,745 domains that are on the block list. We have blocked 14.7% of all traffic going to DNS lookups. I want you to think about that. Every time a site or every time anything on the network goes out and tries to access any system, any server on the internet and find its DNS, of those, 14.7 have been blocked. Percent have been blocked. Think about that. Of that, 6,676 queries have been blocked and counting. And you notice it's constantly growing, because those are the queries that various things on the internal network are going out and, you might say, pinging or accessing DNS servers looking for servers to connect to, information about servers to connect to. Total queries for those, as I mentioned, for those 24 clients, 45,555 and counting, as you can see. Now, I mentioned the Roku box. And, of course, I also have a Google Chromecast with Google TV. Both of those television devices. Then I've got the Plex server system. All of those go out on the network and access DNS servers and have the potential to view bad data, shall we say. In other words, spyware, adware, all the various kinds of things. So, on the Roku, I'm used to pulling up a Roku screen and seeing on one side of the screen an advertisement. Now, I did not really think about it, but since that's an advertisement and since I'm blocking all ads, even on the Roku device, that little screen is blank. So that's really kind of cool when you think about it. Even something that I'm not interacting with through an interface like Windows, even something like the Roku, is calling out, looking for servers, and is potentially open to things that I don't want it to access. Now, I mentioned on the blog how amazing it was to me that this site showed up. wpad.drbillbailey.net. Now, when I saw that, I went, wait a minute. There is no wpad.drbillbailey.net because I am drbillbailey.net. I own that domain. That is my website. Matter of fact, if I open this up over here and go to, and you notice this is not an MSN screen, but I'm using Edge, and this is the open tab screen in Edge. So that's what you see. And then if you go to drbillbailey.net, about clicked on the wrong thing there, you will see my website. Okay, now this is just kind of my base domain, drbillbailey.net. It is not the main drbill.tv website, but this is, you might say, my root site for my network. And it hosts various domains and so forth, but it's hosted by my site, drbillbailey.net. Now, since I control this domain, I happen to know there's no WPAD as a subdomain. So that shocked me when I saw that. And I immediately became curious. Now, let's go to the actual Dr. Bill website, which I talk about all the time, and there it is. And we'll scroll down to an article. Let's see. You're using the pie hole wrong. Here it is. The WPAD vulnerability, which I discovered after installing Pi-hole. Now, I showed you where it found and blocked a query to wpad.drbillbailey.net and that there is no such thing. Well, here's why it did that. This is an article, When Domain Names Attack the WPAD Name Collision Vulnerability. Apparently, what happens is, if you manage a domain on the internet, in my case, drbillbailey.net, and then you set up your router so that the extension of your local clients shows up as drbillbailey.net, or whatever your local domain is, and it matches a web host or web root, so to speak, then Microsoft Edge, Microsoft Explorer, and a few other browsers automatically go out and look for a wpad.drbillbailey.net or whatever your domain happens to be. Let's just say domain.com is a generic, okay? So it'll look for wpad.domain.com. Now, the reason for that is some bright individual, and I use that facetiously, some bright individual thought that the WPAD, which is short for Web Proxy Auto Discovery Protocol, a system that makes it easy for organizations to configure the many web browsers inside their network. So somebody had the bright idea that if we put all of our information for our organization, all of our configuration information on one location on the internet, keep in mind, wpad.domain.com or whatever your domain is, then automatically your web browser, if it's one of these web browsers that supports this idea, will go out and look for those configuration files at that location. And it just happens automatically as part of the general configuration of all web browsers by default that support this WPAD feature. Now, if you are a domain administrator of a system, it would behoove you to block that because people are spoofing this and trying to deliver information to your internal web browsers through wpad.whateverdomain.com it is. Okay? So, let's scroll down here. This is what US CERT recommends that administrators take these steps to mitigate this vulnerability. Consider disabling automatic proxy discovery configuration in browsers and operating systems when you set up a device that will not be used on internal networks. Okay, so in other words, you can, through a group policy, for instance, in Windows, turn this feature off. And I put feature in big quotes, okay? Consider using a fully qualified domain name, FQDN, from Global DNS as the root for enterprise and other internal namespace. Configure internal DNS servers to respond authoritatively to internal DLT queries. Configure firewalls and proxies to log and block outbound requests for wpad.dat files. There's your issue. Somebody can look at this wpad.dat out on the internet and find out information about your company. That's one way they could get in, for instance. Find out information about you, basically. Not get in, but you know what I'm saying. Identify unexpected WPAD network traffic and monitor it, which is what I inadvertently did. File a report with ICANN if your system is suffering demonstrably severe harm as a consequence of name collision by visiting. One or more suggestions from us: don't make up domain names, not even, perhaps especially, for testing or documentation. Now, here's the thing. Because I have implemented the Pi-hole system, let's go back to it here. Since I've implemented this, if I look at my blocked domains, it's blocking that domain. So Pi-hole is allowing me to circumvent this vulnerability by blocking it. So I am really happy that it's doing that. Now look at some of the other things that it's blocking. It's blocking MSN traffic. It's blocking telemetry for Dropbox.com because I'm a Dropbox user. Telemetry for Malwarebytes.com because I'm a Malwarebytes user. Mobile pipe data for Microsoft because I have phones that have Microsoft accounts on them. Secure card search. That's interesting. And that's being blocked as well. Now, these are the top blocked domains. So these are the ones that are getting hit the most often. I find that fascinating. Okay? Think about all the traffic that is occurring if you, and is allowed, if you don't have a Pi-hole system set up on your local area network. It's definitely something to think about. Okay? Do you see that? Do you see the importance of Pi-hole and why it would behoove you to implement it on your local area network? All right? Whoa! All right, that's the Geek Software of the Week drum roll. And the Geek Software of the Week this week is Signal. Signal SMS client. Now, here's the thing. When you use your phone and you text, more and more, shall we say, higher authorities are talking about actually screening your text, looking at what you're texting people, and identifying you as perhaps someone that is not accepted by society. If you know what I mean. They would call them subversives. I call them just folks that want to believe what they want to believe. I'm a great believer in free speech, okay? So, if you want to keep your speech free and protected and private, then SMS client, a secure one, would benefit you. And that's what Signal is. Signal is a secure SMS client. You can use it to speak freely, as in texting. You can share without any insecurity because it's encrypted end-to-end. You can say anything you want to say then, use any GIF or whatever, and nobody will give you a hard time. Plus, you avoid all SMS and MMS fees. You can actually use it to speak audio-wise and so forth. Make privacy stick, get together with groups, because everybody has to have Signal that you're talking to get the secure encrypted connection. Now, it will work to text people that aren't on Signal. Don't get me wrong. Don't misunderstand, all right? But if the other person has Signal, then you can talk to them completely free from any prying eyes. See what I'm saying? All right, so I'm encouraging everybody to get Signal. There's no ads, there's no trackers, and they are not kidding about it. It is an open source project. It is a bunch of people who believe in freedom that have created Signal, okay? And really, seriously, think about getting Signal and using that on your phone. It's on iPhone, the Apple world, as well as the Android world, okay, which is where I'm at. I use Android. The other advantage that Signal has is they even have a Windows client, so I can sit here on my PC and I can text my wife at work, and she's on her phone, I'm on the PC, and I can actually type with a full keyboard and text. You know, from her I get "Sprevasunidish," and I go, "What?" Because she's typing while she's doing other things or talking into it and stuff, and that's like, what? And all of my texts are clear and fully spelled out. Because I'm a geezer. Don't need all this, you know, ROFLOLT, whatever, you know, stuff. Rolling on the floor laughing. I understand. Rockful. Anyway, I don't usually use those kinds of things. I know what they are. I just don't use them. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this particular outing of the Dr. Bill Show. Join us again next time. Remember until then that the doctor is out of here.
Dr. Bill, the Computer Curmudgeon, is a production of DrBillDaily.net with all the honors, rights, and privileges thereunto appertaining.
If you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ding the bell to be notified of future videos.